Welcome to the 15 Minutes with a Farmer podcast from Successful Farming. I'm your host, Lisa Faust-Prater. My guest today is Trey Braswell, a fourth-generation feed and egg producer from Nashville, North Carolina. His family was a founding member of Eggland's Best, and they have been honored to supply eggs for the White House Easter egg roll multiple times. In each episode, I have a quick 15-minute conversation with a farmer to hear their story and share their experience, expertise, and life lessons. I've been looking through your website, and it's great to look back at all the history that you have shared about your family and the business. And it's always so interesting to me to see how farmers in the past and today have found ways to be industrious and create businesses where there's a need and just fill that gap. And so tell us about your grandfather and his brother and their milling endeavor.
Sure, and I agree. Farmers always figure out how to meet the need, regardless. So we face that every day as egg farmers, and we always figure it out, whatever's put before us. But I'm the fourth generation leader at Braswell Family Farms, and so the first generation was my great granddad and my great uncle, and they were a part of a generation of a multitude of kids. I think it was 8 or 9, and so it was kind of the typical American story. The family was farming just a little tiny bit of land, and at that point, there was 9 families could not start to live off a very small farm. So these two they walked down the road about a mile to a gentleman. Mr. Strickland owned Body Milling Company, Body's Mill, which was a grist mill, a water-powered grist mill, and they were making cornmeal. And so they went to work for him for a year or so, and then I think he was ready to get out, retire, and so he financed it, and they started to buy it from him, and that was where we saved that our endeavors in the milling and grain and feed began.
Then when their sons joined the business, they started selling pullets to the egg producers, keeping hens, selling eggs. And so was that the beginning of the egg enterprise for the Braswells?
Yeah, so it was kind of a similar story. There weren't 9 children, but this little grist mill, which was, they would buy corn and sell cornmeal on a local route, or people would come and ask them to mill their own corn and give them cornmeal back. But that was just a small enterprise. I think it supported 2 families, but then my great uncle and my granddad came back and were working with them, and it was clear that they were going to have to do something in addition, that they were going to have to figure out what the next iteration was, and that's kind of where we started into feed and into the animal production. They started raising baby chicks, the pullets, which are the immature laying hens, and then we bought an old mill in town, and then they started to turn that into a custom feed mill and made a lot of bagged feed, because everyone at that point still had working animals at home. Mules, they all had a hog and a cow and chickens, and so, our growth really came we were known for high-quality started laying hens, the pullets, and we sold those up and down the East Coast, and we sold feed, in a little bit closer area, because feed just, the economics don't work to go quite as far with it, but we sold feed and pullets to the great egg customers that were producing eggs, and so that was our next generation, and again, there was so much. I mean, we have issues today, but there were so many days of waking up not knowing if they could make payroll. It was such a volatile commodity business. They couldn't afford to buy new trucks, and they really sacrificed so much. The men that were in the business and the families that were supporting them. They did a lot, and I am so forever grateful for that. Over time, as we were doing a lot of bagged feed, but then as more kind of commercial intensive livestock farming came about, we started making bulk feed for chickens and hogs, and And so then they just kind of added on piece by piece as they could, and it was always a stretch. It was a stretch to add on, a corn bin, or a stretch to add on a loadout bin. And I mean, I heard a lot of stories from my great uncle before he passed, because my granddad died when I was 6. But he would tell me a lot of stories about him and my granddad kind of fighting it out, stressing over a decision. And they would fight it out. They'd, debate it, sometimes physically, but then they were done. They made a decision. They walked out united, and they took a lot of risk to be able to support the community and provide jobs for people here in Nashville and Nash County in North Carolina. And it really is humbling to me, and it keeps me humble and grateful for what we have today, and to be mindful of everybody that came before me, the employees and the family, for what they did to get us here.
So when you were growing up in the family business, what kind of things were you doing on the farm?
Yeah, I mean, I can remember as a kid just going with Dad to the pullet houses, seeing the baby chicks, visiting with. That's what's so great about a family business, and we work hard to try to keep that now, is that, like, we were so close with all the people, and it gets harder as you get larger and have multiple, locations, but man, we were so close to everybody. Like, there were people we called aunt and uncle, and as a kid I probably seriously thought they were aunt and uncle, and like we had wives of farm managers that we would go stay with, and they babysat us. It was just wonderful. I mean, we'd go out to the egg farm, and I remember just going in the cooler and being little and just seeing all the eggs, and it was such a smaller scale, but it was just like, wow, this is amazing, seeing the chickens. So just young, I'd go with Dad and visit, and then as I got into high school, I would work in the mill, sweep the floors, because that was something that my dad and my great uncle instilled, is that we keep a clean feed mill, a clean operation. But the feed mill was kind of the heart of it back then. And I'd unload rail cars. I'd keep the micro bins full. And then when we started building our plant in 1999, I went out there and with the maintenance manager and just kind of was alongside of them, kind of being the gopher and helping them build it. Helping as we started it up, just learning and doing maintenance, and so it was neat, just getting to be a part of all of it. Getting to be alongside folks that I had a lot of respect for, and that I knew worked hard.
Well, and having them see you work hard and not be afraid to be the one who's sweeping the floor and unloading the rail car, I'm sure they respected that about you, and that you're not just the son who's coming in to take over, that you really worked hard and worked your way up and understand the work. And I mean, that says a lot about you too, and your family, that you're doing the work. That's a good thing.
Yeah, I certainly wasn't perfect, but I knew that I was going to have to earn people's respect, and I certainly didn't expect it, and it took a while, and I knew that would be the case. We got a lot of great employees. A lot of them have been here for a long time, and only by God's grace, He kept me humble and with the attitude of knowing that I've got to build trust, earn their respect, and it's been a long journey. It's been a good journey that I'm thankful for.
Your family's business became a founding member of Eggland's Best. So, tell me about that. What that means. What that meant for you guys, and just how that whole process works.
Two gentlemen from Japan had come up with patented a feed that improves the nutritional content in the egg, and they patented that, and then they came to America and said, we think this is an idea that would work, and so at the Poultry Expo in Atlanta, which we have every year, and it was in the early or late 80s. I don't know exactly how, but somehow they had contacted a larger group of farmers and said, they were selling franchises by metropolitan markets, kind of. And praise God that my granddad and great uncle, before my granddad died, said, we need to take a chance on it. There's got to be a better way than we're doing it right now. Don't know if we'll survive without it. And so they bought the franchise for most of North Carolina, and today it's still the only nutritionally enhanced egg, and it has distribution. It's, I think, 97-98% distribution, meaning it's in 97-8% of all outlets where eggs are sold now. And so we're one of the franchisees, and again, it's been a real key to our success.
So with Easter around the corner, I'd like you to tell us about your experience with, this is so amazing, the White House Easter egg roll.
Well, we are honored that we've had the opportunity to supply the eggs for the White House Easter egg roll in the past. We've done it for a number of years, and just for the past few years, we've actually produced the eggs and gone through the process to hard cook them, dye them, and deliver them to the White House. And that it's really been surreal. Regardless of who the president is, we know that we're producing these eggs for American children to be able to have fun there on the White House, which is what they should be able to do. And so it's just been an amazing experience to be able to do that. It's an honor. And last year I took my family up there, and it was just incredible. I went once when I was a kid, and I can barely remember it. But I do remember just how kind of surreal it felt to be on the White House lawn. So I wanted my kids to experience that, and it was so neat. I'm really thankful, and I hope we'll get a chance to do that again in the future.
Yeah, what a full circle moment to have been there as a child and then go back and be the one supplying the eggs and to have hard cooked them and dyed them, and what a massive undertaking. It
is. It's a great partner. I tell folks that when we got the opportunity, American Egg Board had talked to my sales leader, John Watson, and he quickly told him yes without asking me, but he knew what I would say. And so I told him, I was like, well, that's great. Now you find somebody who can handle hard cooking and dyeing them. And he was able to find a great partner that helped us with that and has kind of got the process dialed in, and we're really excited about that. But we couldn't do that on our own. Like, we just have, we're full-time producing these eggs, so it takes kind of an army and a village to get the rest of the process done.
That is so fun. What a cool thing to be able to do, and just a neat thing to share with your kids and the American kids who are there that day and celebrating Easter and getting to do something really unique and fun and something they'll always remember. So you were a part of that. That's so neat. So one last thing, or a couple of last things I have to ask. What is your favorite way to eat eggs?
My favorite way to eat eggs would probably be we call it like Christmas morning casserole. It's eggs, bread, cheese, sausage, milk. I love that, and it obviously just has an emotional tie to it because growing up we always had it on Christmas morning. Probably my favorite way. And then omelets. Like, I love omelets, and just the more meat and vegetables, the better. So those are my favorite ways, but like, the way most often is scrambled, because it's in the morning, scramble some eggs. It's so easy. My kids love it. Sometimes they don't want it in the morning, but they'll want it in the afternoon. So scrambled, or either scrambled this morning, had scrambled with spinach and peppers and onions in it.
Very good. Well, I'm an over medium gal myself, but that's a tricky one. So, you can't always order that in a restaurant because it's tough to get exactly right. So what's next for you and the farm?
Well, we're continuing on with what, my family has tried to always do, like you said, to try to figure out what's next or what's on the forefront. We've, since the late 80s when we bought into Eggland's Best, we have tried to do the things that are harder to do, that not everybody wants to do. And so we're continuing on in that focusing on the specialty and value-added eggs, the premium eggs. We're investing in pasture-raised organic eggs and free-range eggs and organic. And we feel like we do a good job. It takes extra care. It is more expensive to do, but that's where we focus. And we want to continue to be and grow to be a leading provider of premium and specialty eggs on the East Coast and here in the Mid-Atlantic. And we just want to honor the Lord with what He's given us. We feel like we're just here to be good stewards of His resources, and our mission is to feed the body and the soul.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And it sounds like that's been sort of the attitude of your family for 4 generations. So
it has. Even if it wasn't written on the wall, that has just been the foundation of our company for the generations.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, congratulations on all your success, and wishing you and your family just the happiest Easter and, much success. Thank you for listening. Open the April issue of Successful Farming to read more about Trey and Braswell Family Farms, and visit us online at agriculture.com for more interesting features and news for your farm. Join me next week for another episode of 15 Minutes with a Farmer.